and we tested it in the suit. The team has also updated procedures for if it were to occur again to improve upon our response from the last time. The crew did an awesome job responding to that water during that EVA. We've taken, as we always do, we try to learn from everything that happens on board, and we've added a few things. We didn't have to add very much because most of the things that the crew had already been trained to do were absolutely right. We added a towel into the airlock to help with water if it does leak, but otherwise it's we've basically R&R'd the faulty hardware, and we've done an investigation, and we have a really good idea of what caused it.
Thank you very much for your question, and we'll go back to social media using the hashtag AskNASA if you wish to participate in today's conversation. Maddie on Instagram asks, how do you ensure astronaut safety during a spacewalk?
Yeah, that's a great question. So a lot of what we've been talking about is how do these suits work and how do we know that they're healthy? And so really what we're doing throughout the preparation for a spacewalk and then throughout the whole thing is making sure that all of the parameters on the suit, where we're understanding the pressures and the temperatures of each of the different subsystems, are within bounds and within bounds of what we expect and what we need them to be to keep the hardware safe. In the unlikely event that we did have a concerning event, we do have quick response procedures, some that the crew and the ground teams have memorized and some that they have available to them throughout the course of the EVA on their cuff checklist, which they actually wear on their arms, so we could respond to any of those concerning data measures. And again, I said before, but they've got the display in front of them, which allows them to have a heads-up display view of various parameters, and then we get a lot more data that we can see on the ground and be able to voice up to them if we're seeing something that's trending in an unexpected manner.
Thank you very much for that question and submitting on social media. And our final question is a follow-up from Gina Sunferry with ABC News.
But the leak issues you've been seeing in the Russian segment, how is the investigation of that proceeding?
The investigation continues. We're working very closely with our partners at Roscosmos to continue to look at the potential causes of the leaks, as well as identifying their locations within that small transfer tunnel. These are very small cracks that show up. They're very hard to see. In fact, you really can't see them with the naked eye. It takes a microscope a lot of times to go find where these things are. And so the teams continue to work very closely together with ground testing and through the operations that our Roscosmos colleagues are doing on orbit.
Thank you very much for that question. And that is all the questions that we have for today. A big thank you to Bill Spetch and Nicole McElroy for joining us to discuss the upcoming spacewalks that will be occurring outside the International Space Station. And thank you for tuning in on NASA Plus. You can tune in on NASA Plus for all the coverage around these spacewalks again on Thursday, January 16th and Thursday, January 21st, or 23rd, pardon me. U.S. Spacewalk 91 is scheduled to begin at approximately 7 a.m. Eastern Time and last about 6.5 hours, and NASA Plus coverage will begin at around 5:30 a.m. Eastern Time. Thank you for joining us from NASA's Johnson Space Center.